Hello, my name is Ali, and welcome to my channel. For today's video we are going to be tier ranking 2022 girl groups releases, but only in terms of their fashion. I'll be talking about the comebacks era's styling, and I'll tier rank each one of them. There are a lot of girl groups who had incredible outfits for their releases this year, and some that had not so great outfits. I'll also be mentioning some soloists because they're totally worth talking about. This year girl groups dominated the charts by far, so there are a lot of releases. So of course I can't be mentioning each one of them. I'm sorry if I didn't mention your faves, but maybe if this video does well, I can make a second part. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Disclaimer: I am a fashion enthusiast and I studied fashion design in university. However, fashion is subjective. What I might think it's pretty, someone else might hate it, and it's completely okay. This isn't meant to be taken too seriously, and I'm only doing it for fun. I'm only talking about the outfits, not the people wearing them. My thoughts on the clothing are just that, on the clothing, so I hope no one misunderstands it. God Jiho. This is for those eras that were absolute perfection in the fashion department. Like they are iconic, they didn't have a single flaw, and are completely unforgettable. Just like God Jiho. Slay. This is for all the eras that were good, absolutely nothing wrong with them. But they aren't God Jiho material either. There isn't that iconicness to them. Weird, but it works. This is for all the eras that had odd styling, but it somehow worked with the concept in the song. Take for example Zimzalabeam. The styling is certainly out there, but it worked. I don't know how many eras will qualify for this, but we shall see. Mid. This is for all the eras that had good styling. They weren't revolutionary, they don't necessarily have something clear that could have been fixed, but they also aren't that forgettable. They were just fine. Take this as like a middle, neutral tier. Cute but forgettable. This is for all the eras that were fine, nothing too worrying about them, but they weren't impactful enough to be memorable. Throw it in the trash. This is for all the eras that were bad. Maybe it had some nice elements, but the overall result just wasn't it. Jail. And finally, we have Jail. This is for all the eras that were atrocious. Like these stylists truly hate the idols, and decided to take revenge on their clothing. So, these are the tiers. The first era we have is Kepler's debut with Wa Da Da. This era was really good style-wise. Almost every outfit had a school uniform-inspired vibe to it, but with an edge twist. There were lots of plaid print and pleated skirts, but it worked amazing for the era. All the outfits were basically the same but in different colors. Although we also got these outfits that don't fit in with the rest at all, but they also were the most memorable for a lot of people. I don't think they are the greatest outfits out there, but the girls always looked great, and the clothing choices also were good. Not iconic level for sure, but a nice slay. Next up, we have Run To You era. This era had a lot of sparkle in it. Lots of shiny fabrics, lots of sequins and fabrics that looked really great with the stage lights. Most of the outfits were in a pink or blue color palette, but we also had instances of orange, green and black. I really liked how their stylists mixed different prints and textures to make these outfits a lot more interesting. And for the most part they totally killed it, but there also were some instances where they did one of the members kind of dirty. I think that with some changes here and there, the era could have been perfect, but it wasn't. However, it wasn't bad either, so mid-tier. Next, we have Tomboy by G-Idol. Just like the song's vibe, their styling had this rock/punk vibe to it. I love how they went for a 2000s type of styling, but stood out against all of the other girl groups doing Y2K-inspired fashion because they went for the 2000s antsy type of fashion. There were a lot of black, lots of fishnets, lots of low-rise pieces, lots of chunky boots, and lots of leather. I love how they committed 100% to the era's aesthetic. And although we got some more quote-unquote modern looks like the pink and red one, there was still a clear edgy touch to them. For me this is definitely God Jiho material since there isn't a single flaw about this era's outfits. Next, we have LE SSERAFIM's debut with Fearless. I think this era was nice styling-wise. There were a lot of elegant elements, and only what I can describe as the Blair Waldorf aesthetic in 2022. There were lots of headbands, elegant mini dresses, and designer pieces. I would divide their outfits for this era in the sporty outfits, elegant outfits, and more casual but still very cute outfits. We also had some random suit outfits as their last stage, and they don't match at all the vibe, but whatever. I don't think this era is that memorable when it comes to their styling. The girls didn't look bad, like at all, but there aren't many elements that make me remember this era for their styling. So unfortunately for me this is cute but forgettable. Then, we have our first soloist. And it's no other than Yuna with her debut. Smiley is such a fun and bright song, so it's not surprised that the styling for the era followed the same vibe. There were lots of colorful outfits, lots of quirky and maybe odd elements that somehow worked, but we also got some all-black outfits that still looked amazing. This era didn't have a clear element that was throughout every single outfit, but exactly that is what kinda fits Smiley. She always looked great and there wasn't an instance where I thought that the outfit didn't match the vibe. I don't think this era was iconic style-wise, but she looked freaking amazing every single time, so slay it is for me. Then, we have IVE's Love Dive. This era had a lot of school uniform elements that fit perfect with the concept. But I hate how we got the same outfits 3 times just in different colors. I hate when groups do that, and I know it's easier for the styling team, but it's so boring. Aside that, we had some other outfits that were great. We had lots of rhinestones, some sequins, and a bit of shiny fabric that looked great on stage, and for the most part all the members looked good. I'm a bit conflicted about this era because there was a clear idea for the era's styling, but there are some outfits I don't love. If I put aside my personal preference, I can genuinely admit that the era had amazing styling, but not iconic for me, so slay. Next, we have Attention by New Jeans. The styling for this era had a lot of baggy silhouettes and tons of active wear pieces. Perfect for the laid-back sound the song has. Most of the times the girls looked like they were going to dance class or to work out, which I'm sure was so comfortable to perform in. I also appreciate how their stylists made the looks more interesting by mixing different prints. There are some outfits I would like to rip off the girl because I think they are quite bad, but they're only like 2, so it's not that big of a deal. As a whole, I think this was a good era because the girls looked great, but unfortunately there isn't anything iconic about it. So for me this is cute but forgettable. Next, we have Maison by Dreamcatcher. In most of their releases, the girls have a set of outfits that recreate multiple times for the era but in different colors. This era wasn't the exception. We had some leather outfits that gave warrior vibes and fit perfectly with the era's theme. We also had some more flowy outfits that weren't bad, but I don't think they match the era at all. I know I just said that I hate when groups recreate the same exact outfits in different colors for all their outfits in an era, but in this instance it made completely sense. The leather outfits were so unique and the girls looked amazing in them, so I would have loved to see it in multiple color instead of the flowy outfits that don't make sense. I don't think any girl looked badly at any moment, but good styling isn't just looking good, it's also fitting the era's aesthetic. And unfortunately, their styling time kinda missed the mark in this instance. I hate to say it, but for me this is throw it in the trash. There were some elements that worked, but the overall result wasn't that great. Although I have to say it again, I really do love the leather outfits. Then, we have Red Velvet with Feel My Rhythm. This era is so magical in every aspect, and the outfits weren't the exception. Ever since the teaser pics were released they were looking like dolls, literally, and I'm so glad the same feeling was in the music show performances. I love all the sparkles, corsets, and tulle skirts we got this era. I especially love the outfits with the black and gold color palette a lot. There was also this pink and blue look that had a completely different vibe, but the girls still looked amazing and it still matched the magical feeling the whole comeback had. It's such a shame that we got so little performance because I wanted to see a lot more outfits. For me there isn't a single flaw this era, and there are so many iconic elements in their styling. So this is definitely God Jiho. Next, we have NMIX's debut. As we already know, this song was divided into 2 different genres, so the styling was also divided into 2 different vibes. We had the darker and more girl crush outfits, and then we had the colorful and cutesier outfits. I actually love the bright outfits a lot. I love how colorful they are, love the tons of tulle the girls were wearing, and I'm obsessed with the sportswear reworked pieces. The darker outfits were fine, I actually like these ones a lot. Love the different colors, and the flowy silhouettes of the clothing looked so good while they were dancing. I don't love how many suit-inspired with tons of shiny embroidery outfits we got. 1 or 2 were fine, but we got like 7. We also got these awful outfits that had the same suit-inspired elements, but instead of rhinestones they had some god-awful amount of tulle. I think some of these outfits were great, but most of them were repetitive or just kinda bad. I want to say that this is throw it in the trash, but because how unique and out there the song is, I have to match the vibes. So this is weird but works. Next, we have Flip That by Luna. This era marked the return of Luna doing bright concepts, so of course the styling followed the same vibe. The outfits this era were mostly in pastel colors, we had flowy silhouettes, and tons of pretty mini dresses. I especially loved the sailor-inspired outfits a lot, since the girls looked so cute. I think the girls looked great this era. The outfits matched the vibe of the song, and the whole era's concept, but I don't think they are memorable. Basically all the outfits looked the same, in terms of basic elements. And yes, I like consistency and the fact that they kept a clear idea for their styling. But if all the outfits blend together to the point that you can't remember which one belonged to which performance, then that's kind of a problem. The era had a lot of potential to have amazing styling, but I think that the styling team didn't get creative enough and went for a safe route that ultimately didn't pay off that well. For me this is definitely cute but forgettable. Then, we have Girls by aespa. For this era half of the outfits has this school uniform vibe to them, and the other half were just casual with trendy pieces. We of course didn't get many performances for this era, which resulted in the outfits not having a clear vision to them. I personally don't think the girls looked bad, but the outfits weren't anything that exciting. Maybe if we had more performances we could have seen more of the idea the styling team was trying to portray, but because we didn't, I don't understand what was the main concept behind all these outfits. aespa has had other eras with much better styling, like Savage was definitely their best styling era so far. So when it comes to girls, this just felt a bit disappointing. For me, this is also cute but forgettable. Next, we have Nayeon's solo debut with Pop. This song is so bubbly and happy, so the styling for this era followed the same vibe. Most of the outfits followed a bright color palette which fitted perfect. Her styling team did an amazing job by making the outfits really memorable and cute at the same time. I can wholeheartedly appreciate how much creativity they put into styling her outfits. The stylists of course could have gone with much more basic looks, but I'm so happy they didn't. There wasn't a single time when Nayeon looked bad this era, and that's exactly how you know this had perfect styling. Of course some outfits weren't as great as others, but the overall thing was amazing, like how to forget that amazing cherry dress outfit. And I have to say that for me some of the best outfits this era were actually in the jacket shoot, and not in an actual performance. This era was perfect styling-wise, so of course this belongs in the God Jiho tier. Then, we have Alive by Lightsum. This whole era had a clear high school theme to it, so of course it made total sense for the outfits to be like uniforms. The styling this comeback had a lot of the classic girl group elements, but I loved how they made it more interesting by mixing unique pieces, different silhouettes, prints, and tons of accessories. The styling team really could have just went with the basic girl group inspired outfits, and the girls would have looked great and it would have matched the song. However, they made the styling a standout from other basic girl group releases. Most of the looks this era had a touch of punkness, with the color palettes having black in them, ripped fishnets and chains. And exactly that is what elevated the looks and made them more unique. I enjoyed this era so much when it was happening, and it's for sure my favorite Lightsum release by far. This isn't that iconic, but the girls looked amazing, and the styling was great, so this is slay for me. Then, we have Sneakers by ITZY. Everyone has different opinions about this song, but I think we can all agree that the styling was pretty good this era. I loved the royal-inspired outfits, and I wished we had more of those in the era. Most of the outfits this comeback had a sporty vibe to them, which of course made total sense. I think that ITZY rarely has bad styling, and this wasn't the exception. The girls looked so good every single time, and although there were some outfits better than others, the overall result for this era was great. All the outfits felt cohesive and fitted the era's concept to the T. The only thing I didn't like was that we got 3 different sailor-inspired outfits, and one could have been more than enough. I don't think this era had revolutionary styling. Maybe if we had more outfits like this one, then it would have been iconic, but still, there were some memorable looks. The girls didn't look bad at all, and like I said before, it's pretty rare for ITZY to have bad styling, so for me this is slay tier. Next, we have Copycat by Apink Showbum. This whole era was so quirky and unique, so the outfits of course had to follow the same vibe. The whole concept of them being dolls was so good, and their outfits matching perfectly while still being different was amazing. Some of their looks had a more casual, Y2K-inspired vibe, and some had more of a quirky and out-of-the-box vibe. The outfits were so different from one another, but they all matched the era perfectly. There wasn't a single moment when any one of them looked bad or when an outfit was disappointing. This era had everything in it to be memorable in more aspects than one. So of course this is God Jiho. Next, we have Up by Kepler. This was a summer comeback with a summer theme, so I was full on expecting bright colors everywhere. And when I saw these outfits in the MV, I thought that for the performances the outfits were going to follow the same vibe. But they didn't. We instead got some boring outfits, and an insane amount of denim. The best outfits were in the first week of performances, and then the outfits just kept going downhill from there. I don't really think the girls looked bad, but out of all the outfits the girls wore, I only loved like 2 of them. And they both were the outfits that had a lot of bright colors and different prints in them. I don't know if I had my expectations a bit too high for this era, but I was quite disappointed. For me this is throw it in the trash because there were so many boring set of outfits this era, and I don't want anything like that again for Kepler. Next, we have Underwater by INVU. This song is so freaking good. Definitely one of my favorite releases this year. And I was so freaking excited for the promotion period, but god, her outfits were horrendous. Like always, she mostly wore dresses with tons of ruffles that were just plain ugly. Her styling team always thinks that by giving her a ruffled dress and some 6-inch heels it's enough for the outfit to look good, but it isn't. In this light less, her outfits always look incomplete, she barely has jewelry, and she most of the times has a belt that's as ugly as the dress. The dress choices were terrible and the accessories did nothing to help. For this era it made sense for the outfits to have flowy silhouette, and the ruffles achieved that. But they could have given her some other type of flowy dress, or even flowy skirts and shorts. We got some outfits in a blue color palette, which makes sense with the water theme of the comeback. But we also got some random black outfits that didn't match in the slight less. I think that INVU's stylists always does a bad job, and I desperately want for her to work with a better styling team, because the current one ain't working. For me this whole era is jail, because there isn't a single savable look. Then, we have Last Sequence by WJSN. The styling for this era was divided into the elegant and classy outfits, and the more casual and summery ones. Both of them were great, but I do have to say that the elegant ones are by far my personal favorites. The color palette for the outfits this era went from cold tones to warm tones, but they all fitted perfectly and it didn't look bad. I didn't love the outfits where all the girls were wearing shorts and pretty similar blouses, but it also wasn't that bad. WJSN is a group with a lot of members, and the fact that in each stage all of them looked amazing is pretty impressive because it isn't easy to style so many members. The styling this era felt very WJSN-like, while still having elements that differentiate it from their other eras. I think the styling in this instance was perfect but not that iconic, so slate here it is. Next, we have DM by Promise 9. This era didn't have an explicit concept, however, you can still see a clear correlation between all the outfits they wore during this era. There isn't necessarily anything revolutionary about them, and they look like your standard girl group look in 2022, but that isn't a bad thing. There wasn't a single set of outfits that was bad, or in specific instance where any of the girls was done dirty. They've had more memorable outfits for some of their previous releases, however DM does feel a bit forgettable. And that's why this era is cute but forgettable for me. Then, we have Sparkling by Chungha. This era was short-lived but it had a clear theme and concept, and the outfits followed that to the T. The outfits for this comeback had lots of sparkles, and lots of feathery hems. She mostly wore mini dresses, although there were some nice two-piece sets. I think that the outfit that stands out the most this era is the crochet one, but it's also probably the most memorable one. I don't think that the fashion in this era was groundbreaking or amazing, but the styling was perfect for the type of concept she was going for. I do think that the outfits, for the most part, are quite memorable, but not that iconic to be God Jiho material, so slate here is perfect. Next, we have Pink Venom by Blackpink. This was only a pre-release, but because we got some performances I like to take it as its own era. Just like most of Blackpink's styling, this one felt messy. None of the performance outfits are similar to one another, they don't even have the same vibe. Their stylists always love to give each one of the girls a completely different outfit that barely has any element in common with each other. And that just makes the whole thing so chaotic. In this era we got some outfits in the MV that were kinda good, but they were nowhere to be seen in any of the performance. There wasn't any clear idea about the comeback's concept, and precisely that's what allows for the outfits to be so messy. I know Blackpink isn't known for revolutionary fashion, but this one was one of their worst eras fashion-wise. There are little to none salvageable elements in this era, so for me this is throw it in the trash. Next, we have Vivi's debut with Bop Bop. The standout element in this era was the fact that each girl had a representative color. Enna being purple, Shinbi being blue, and Eunji being red. These colors were present in most of their outfits during this era, and this is such a nice detail that I can gladly appreciate. However, that doesn't mean that all of the outfits were great this era. Aside the colors element, there wasn't a clear theme within all the looks, and some of them felt so out of place. For the most part the girls looked great, but there were some instances where I think some of the girls were done quite dirty. This isn't the worst styling in the world by any mean, but it could have been better. This era was cute but forgettable. Then, we have Super Yuppers by WJS and Choco Me. They are one of the few groups that aren't afraid to do quirky concepts in 4th gen, and I love that. Their styling doesn't have an overall concept for their releases but more like each stage has a completely different concept, which it's amazing. That allows for every performance to have a unique touch. The era is always evolving, and you can 100% always be looking forward to the next stage, wondering which type of outfits are they going to be wearing. Just in this era we got outfits inspired in superheroes, Greek goddesses, poker cards, school uniforms, Lolita clothing, cowboys, and a lot more. I love how unique their styling always is, and although any of the styling concepts correlates to one another, it still makes complete sense with the comeback. This is definitely weird but it works. Although the outfits aren't necessarily weird, but I just want to match the era's vibe with the tears. Next, we have Nabillera by Hyuna. This era didn't have an explicit theme either, and I was actually surprised to see that there wasn't a single outfit with some kind of butterfly reference to it, like not a single one. All of the outfits did have the same overall vibe, and for this release she wore tons of booty shorts and crop tops. I like how her styling team isn't afraid to try new things while still making Hyuna look amazing, although she can pull off everything. However, this was one of her most tamed and simple eras when it comes to clothing. Her stylists didn't take any risk while styling her, and it's such a shame since Nabillera was perfect to try unique styling. For the last couple of years she has been showing how her style has evolved into a more colorful and quirky one. So it made sense for eras like I'm Not Cool and Ping Pong to have interesting styling. But this era just felt safe, with her wearing basically the same thing but just in different colors. For me this is cute but forgettable, because although she looked amazing every single time, there isn't any memorable element in the era's styling. Then, we have Talk That Talk by Twice. This era's styling was really good, and it's rare when Twice doesn't have good styling. The outfits for this comeback were divided into the Y2K-inspired outfits, the bright colorful outfits, and the darker spy-inspired outfits. I think that each one of these type of outfits is good, but all of them together doesn't make sense to me. The girls looked freaking good every single time, but I would have rather for there to be only a single clear theme, and not 3 different ones that don't make sense together. In the video I made for this era I also said that the styling felt a bit messy because there isn't any correlation between the 3 type of outfits. It really felt like their creative team chose 3 different concepts, instead of picking just one, and decided to blend everything together. Which, I have to be honest, wasn't as bad, but it could have been so much better if they had picked just one single concept. Like imagine the spy-like concept as its own thing for the whole comeback. It would have been so iconic. That's honestly my only problem with the styling, but it's quite a big problem, at least to me. So I have to say that this is mid-tier for me. And last but not least, we have INVU by Taeyeon. We barely got outfits this era because she only performed twice and it was with the same looks we got to see in the MV. However, each one of the ones we got was absolutely amazing. This whole era had this magical and extraterrestrial goddess vibe to it that was perfectly represented in the outfits. The clothing she wore was simple, but the accessories, makeup and hairstyles elevated the looks so much. She looked so freaking gorgeous every single time, and this for me could have been God Jiho material if we had more outfits, but because we don't, this is slay tier for me. So, this is the final ranking. In the God Jiho tier, we have Tomboy, Feel My Rhythm, Pop, and Copycat. In the slay tier, we have Wa Da Da, Smiley, Love Dive, Alive, Sneakers, Last Sequence, Sparkling, and INVU. In weird but it works, we only have OO and Super Yuppers. In the mid-tier, we only have Run to You and Talk That Talk. In the cute but forgettable tier, we have Fearless, Attention, Flip That, Girls, DM, Bop Bop, and Nabillera. In the Throw It in the Trash tier, we have Maison, Up, and Pink Venom. And lastly, in the Jail tier, we only have Underwater. That was everything for the video. Girl groups really took over 2022 with their releases, and I have to say that for the most part their styling was freaking amazing. I only put like half of 2022 girl group releases in this video, and I still have a lot of more eras I can talk about. So let me know if you're interested in a second part. Also, let me know which one was your favorite styling era this year, and if you agree or disagree with any of my tiers. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Bye.